Hello and welcome to a content podcast. I'm here with some very familiar guests. First of all, we have AirJapes. Hello, welcome back.
Thank you much, Ben. Glad to be back. And very importantly, glad to be back after a 20-0 weekend league finish. So I might be able to mention that a few more times as we go along, even though I think we're more on the content side here.
Yeah, more on that on the supporter gameplay episode this week. But let me introduce our next two guests. First of all, JoshXLs. Hello, welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. I had what I like to call a Florida State weekend where I went unbeaten, but just wasn't allowed to compete any further. So, didn't get any rewards this weekend. That's one for the American college football fans out there.
That's good. That's good.
And you also have heard just there, Nate, the FUT Accountant, back again after a while out, actually. Good to have you on.
It's great to be back on, Ben. Thanks for the invite. I'm excited to talk everything related to these cards that you can just put right into your team and they just link. It's great.
Yeah, it's an interesting one from that perspective, actually. Maybe we'll talk about that first. So just to be clear on that, Nate, it's basically that you get 2 chem automatically, essentially, because they have double chemistry, and you just need one player from, or I guess a manager, to add a league chemistry point, and then they have full chem, correct?
Absolutely. And I think the way that people are getting that last chem point, at least the way that I see it a lot from playing champs this weekend is, most people have done an icon SBC or an upgrade pack by now. So if you have one icon, you just throw that into your team and you can link any of the different radioactive cards to 3 chem, even if they're in completely different leagues. So I think it's cool, just the easy ability to plug and play anybody in your team.
Yeah, it actually leads us nicely into 𝘭𝘀𝗀𝘀𝘀 which is the best value player from the past week, typically. They could be from the market, SBC, objective player. The listener nomination I'm going to go with is actually someone who's very much helped by the chemistry. Rob going for Radioactive Zaha, saying he's a menace. Quick Step is great on a card that is 6 foot and takes long strides, alongside the bigger body type, helping him drift past any fullback in the left wing position, which I play him in. The 5-star skills make him silky, and using finisher gets him 98 finishing with 98 agility, so he's clinical as well. He's 87,000 coins at the time of writing, and he's one of the players who really benefited from this promo, as I was saying. And Maka says, I'll second this one. Didn't have the biggest output in terms of goals and assists, but with that quick step plus, it was very noticeable that he could burn people more so than any previous wide player I've used. So yeah, a good starting point for nominations. But Nate, let's come to you. Is there a particular player you have up your sleeve for _pound Powerhouse?
Oh man, there's one radioactive player that has done the business for me. It's probably going to be one of the more popular ones because the SBC was so well received, but it is Aubameyang. Aubameyang goes back for me like FIFA 16. He had a team of the season card. It was my first big team of the season card that I'd ever packed. And I don't know, the pace and also his height, I've always kind of enjoyed just how he's kind of built in game, because he can get in behind for through balls, especially with the rapid plus. He's got finesse, trivela, and chip, so he's got all the play styles for finishing, or not all of them, but a lot of the good ones. And I don't know, he just, of course with the linking, you just plug and play, but he is a little clunky, and I've actually put a what am I running on him? Oh, I'm running a sniper to keep him as lengthy as possible for just the through ball opportunities, so that he can run in a straight line and then finish. I don't do anything else with him because he really can't. But I think for 100K or 90K, I think he's a fun, solid card.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Have you considered marksman? I always think if you're going to do sniper, maybe just do marksman, although maybe that loses his lengthiness. Oh yeah, he's less lengthy as a result of that. So maybe not. Let's move on to Josh, your nomination. Who are you going to go for this week?
I'm going to get a bit cheeky, if that's all right, and pick a Thunderstruck card, mainly because I hadn't really used them last week. But Romelu Lukaku is so much fun. He is totally my kind of player. He's not got skills. He's not super techie on the ball, but he can bully every player on the game. I have never scored so many corners than I have done in the last week. If you don't move your keeper out, I can just pop it on his head, edge of the 6-yard box. I haven't come up against a defender that regularly wins headers against him. And if you then bring your keeper out, play it short, I can still get it to him. He's still so good. His left foot is an absolute rocket. He's due 2 more playstyles on Wednesday, I think, is when they do the Thunderstruck upgrades. Roma then need to win one of their last 2, and he's an 89 rated card. He's just so much fun. He's so much fun to use. And I packed the Radioactive 𝗻𝘂𝗻𝘀𝘀, and so I've been trying him out, and that's obviously helped an awful lot with the chemistry. And yeah, he's just a lot of fun. If you like that kind of big, clunky striker, you know, big and clunky is not usually words that people use for strikers they do like, but for me, I love a bit of a target man. I do think like going long and putting it up to somebody who can knock it down for someone is very underutilized in this game, and using the 3-1-4-2 tactics from last week's gameplay pod, there's so many players around him he can knock it down to. Honestly, I've several times gone to change my team, and I cannot bring myself to take him out of the team. Like he's so much fun to use.
Was it a passionate enough nomination that I'm going to allow you there? And actually, there were a lot of Thunderstruck players that came out that we didn't get to mention, so it's good to mention those. Japes, let's move on to you. And have you got a more recent player for us?
No, I'm going to go with Thunderstruck players. Well, so in my squad right now, I have 4 evolution players, and there's one player, I guess, that I've purchased, but one player I would not hesitate to purchase. And we talked about her last week, but Thunderstruck 𝗻𝘂𝘀𝘀 is a joke. She is Sawa Light for 40k.
Yeah, so she was actually Brammer's nomination, right? And then you packed her maybe even during the podcast and started using her. And yeah, you said she's phenomenal.
Yeah, it made it into the Weekend League squad is, like I said, would be a Sawa Light style card. She's absolutely insane. And she is 40k. 40k. Yeah. So if you have done that dog leash Thunderstruck promo, you have no excuse not to have her in your squad. I used her on 2 chem and didn't even notice, right? Still super impactful.
Yeah, and who would you go pound for pound?
If you want to go up in budget, I did pay the price for Figo's Thunderstruck card. And I do think he's getting an upgrade here. But for me, he's kind of a master of none, but also insanely impactful at the same time. He rarely ever seems to put a foot truly wrong for me in the right wing position. I think part of it is I don't ask him to do too much, but his play styles for me and the way I like to use my right wing, he does have technical plus, which I would say is kind of one of the worst feeling technical pluses of players that I've used. So it feels like a little bit of a letdown, but he's got power shot, dead ball, whipped pass, trickster flare, Trivella, and just is so good. He's so good. And he's going to get another play style, I believe, with the win. And I just, he's really impactful, Ben. I think I've now played a total of 25 games with him. And he's got 22 goals and 12 assists, which is maybe surprising. Part of me doesn't feel like he scored that much. The other part of me feels like he's definitely scored that much. So I think I really like the high-low work rates too. It means I can play quickly on, kind of on a counter when I need to, because he doesn't love tracking back. But I think the right wing spot is tricky, and there's some people that I've chatted with that, and the same for me. He's replaced the Player of the Month Salah for them as well, and I wouldn't hesitate to make that same recommendation.
I've had some kind of ridiculous icon luck recently, and in the 83 times 10 that I opened last week, the last one, I got the Figo, and I was amazed to see he was 600k, to be honest, especially after using him for a bit. I didn't really check his price. I thought it'd be a few 100k. It's funny because I mean, it could be the role I'm playing him in. It's traditional right mid spot rather than, I guess, one of your front 3, which could make the difference, perhaps. I don't know.
I could see him getting lost as a true right mid.
Yeah. He doesn't have, quick step or one of these kind of pacey play styles that helps running in a straight line. So I think that is a big factor. When I sub on Marlon, he's often better.
He's faster than you think, though.
Yeah, he's decently quick. I'm not saying he's slow or anything. I put 100 on him, so he's max pace. But I guess a lot of fullbacks these days do have quick step or whatever.
All right, as confirmed, Ben. Pace merchant,
quick step merchant. Yeah.
Forget the skills. Players with trickster and flare. He doesn't care anymore.
I mean, he is also 4-star skills. Let's be clear about that. Not that Marlon doesn't also have 4-star skills. But anyway, I'm thinking of replacing him, funnily enough, with Zaha. He was going to be my pound for pound nomination this week. I haven't used him, though. And it was good he came up in the conversation. There are actually a fair few good Radioactive players that I think are worth mentioning. I feel like with Thunderstruck and people having good teams from that, we've probably not really seen as much interest in the players themselves than you perhaps typically expect. Although for pound, there are a few cheaper options. And I was noticing that Shaqiri is discard price. Players who are eligible for evolutions and come out quite well, that are out of packs, do really well. And with his low face guard stats, but 5-star skills, I could see him being someone that people want to put into an evolution in the future. And he's got space in terms of his playstyles to add more. He has a few useful ones, but nothing spectacular. The other player I want to mention as a potential pound for pound, although neither of these I'm suggesting particularly strongly, I think Zaha would have been mine, really. Caicedo, the SBC, Bruiser Plus, which is really nice. And I think he has well-rounded stats and great playstyles too. A lot of passing ones, which is really good. Are there any other players, though, that people want to bring up?
More holistically, first off, on the Radioactive promo, I think the idea behind it is really cool. The idea of kind of adding these chemistry links in. Quite surprised we haven't had more non-top 5 European leagues in there. Like, we've not got an Eredivisie card as far as I'm aware, or even like a Belgian Pro League, like just giving people the option to use those cards. But like Saudi and MLS have been nice in this promo.
As always.
One of the players who I have used and quite enjoyed is Kessie. Now, he doesn't have a playstyle plus, but his 3 playstyles are Relentless, Press Proven, and Power Shot. And whilst the Power Shots kind of take it or leave it, Press Proven and Relentless are really, really nice in the midfield. He's super, super strong, like got that incredibly sturdy build, and so pushes players off the ball, especially if you've got a bit of a press on and somebody's passing into quite a tight area. He just manages to win that ball, gets his foot around the side. So he's been somebody I've really, really enjoyed using. And if you've got a Neymar or Benzema and you just want to try and get some chemistry on them, he's just a great little option to be able to add in there and give that nice chemistry boost. They're kind of like heroes, but for but just for clubs. I don't know. It's a bit of a weird addition into chemistry to have to think about.
Yeah, well, they're actually better than heroes, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, actually, because heroes only give 2 to league and 1 to nation, don't they? They don't give any club chemistry. So it's like 2 extra chemistry points on top of what you get from a hero. But like going back to Kessie and kind of riffing off what you were talking about Shaqiri with, and even Caicedo to an extent, something I find really interesting is when you look into passing seems to be the area I notice it the most. Like Kessie's got 80 passing on his card, but has 88 short passing and 82 vision. And so actually, does it really matter if he's only got 58 free kick accuracy or 66 curve? It's the same with Caicedo. I think he's in the low 80s, but has like mid to high 80s in vision, short passing and long passing, because the other 3 stats are all super low. So it's definitely worth not overlooking some of these cards because they have low face stats. And as you've said, that could just open them up for some really nice Evos in the future.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I wanted to mention finally Perisic, actually. I haven't used him, but a winger who has aerial plus is quite a cheeky option. He's too expensive to just pick up and put on the bench as a nuclear option. He's 200k, but if you've got him untradeable, definitely put him on your bench. If you come up against 𝘵𝘃 or a small fullback, he's going to be able to play the wide role really competently because of his stats, but also be like a really, really strong threat at the back post. I think I'd be tempted actually in the 3-1-4-2 to play at right mid, because I think would definitely score some back post headers from 𝘵𝘃. Let's take a break and we'll come back and talk about the evolutions we've had and a bit more. Hello, welcome back after the break. Right, evolutions. We've had 2. We've had Radioactive Maestro, which was a free one. And we also had Radioactive meets Relentless, or Relentless meets Radioactive. It gave the Relentless playstyle plus, and it was for left backs. And I think it's interesting the impact, Nate, that free evolution had on the market, because it did actually push some players up. I wasn't really expecting, say, for example, Rabiot to go extinct, which he did. And maybe unsurprisingly, that 𝘵𝘃𝗃, who is probably one of the best options for this, who's an inform, also went extinct at 65k. He looks, on the face of it, really good, but actually his defensive awareness is pretty poor. And you're mainly going to be playing him as a DM or centre-back, and his playstyles aren't that helpful either. But yeah, I guess there was quite a bit of interest in that. Is that always the case, really, with these free evolutions, that players tend to rise and go extinct quite often?
Sometimes. I mean, it kind of just depends on how the evolution's well received, from what I've noticed. Also, what I've noticed is when the evolutions get leaked and there's people that invest heavily beforehand, especially on some of the cheaper gold common cards. Like I remember 𝘵𝘂𝘐 from Chelsea, one of those evolutions passed, like it was leaked and he went to like 7k, and then the evolution comes out and he's back down to 750 coins because there's just not enough people that wanted to do it because the evolution wasn't as exciting. And I think the Radioactive Maestro Evo had a little bit more hype because of the chemistry and the upgrade. Honestly, I think it's solid. If you look at 𝘊𝑚any, he's one of the popular cards. His card isn't that much different from the Centurion's box to box, and that was a 40 game Evo and 150k. It's just a month later in the game. But I think that Evo was okay. I think a lot of people, and myself included in this is an opportunity where you could put in some of those, I don't know, like gem or some of those bronzes or silvers that you maybe did in Golden Glow Up. Like a lot of people put in Mainoo from Man U. It's like this Evo was kind of nice for those midfielders, at least, that you did in Golden Glow Up, that you could take now to an even higher level.
Yeah. Have you done this Evo, Japes?
No. Like the create your own promo card Evos for me are oftentimes going to be less interesting because I'm not so interested in just taking a like regular gold card and giving them, like, I don't really care about an Evo 𝘊𝑚any, right? It just doesn't do anything for me. So I'm sort of, I don't know, like less enthused about this. Like to put it on if I were to take this Evo and put it on a bronze card, like part of the benefit of this is you would have like the radioactive thing, right? And the whole point of the bronze card is you're going to have to Evo them again anyway. So it's fine.
Yeah. And the Sunday Evo, which is the left back one aside, Josh, what are your thoughts on the Radioactive Maestro?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Japes. It's fine. Like in and of itself, if you just look at it as its own Evo, like it's a decent Evo. Gets you an 87 rated card and gives you some good play styles. It's free. You get better chemistry with it. Like the two passing play styles it gives, brilliant for midfielder. Like, you know, I wish when we got defensive Evos, they'd give you defensive play styles. But, you know, passing play styles for midfielders is great. And it makes some interesting cards. That 𝘵𝘃𝗃𝗃 is probably the best one. You know, when you start having to go to, I don't know, the Golden Glow Ups are something we always go back to because it's cards that, you know, people see less or got more excited about at the beginning and they've kind of faded away. But there have been other Evos that you may have put your Golden Glow Up in, and the Golden Glow Ups went up to 84 rated, so they may not have been eligible for this one. You know, it was fine. It was okay. It's not bad. I'm glad that I really wish that every Evo would relate to the promo. Like I'd have loved like a Thunderstruck card design, even if it didn't have the upgrade system that Thunderstruck has. It would just be nice to have different card designs for those Evos. But yeah, it was. I don't think it was worth like Rabiot going extinct. But it was a fun Evo to give a little upgrade to a midfielder.
I mean, how much do you think Rabiot would be on the market? Like, he'd be certainly more than 10k if he had an Evo.
Yeah, he would be, but I don't know whose team. Like, I don't know how many teams he is now starting for, or even necessarily on the bench for. Like, I don't see him displacing some of those big midfielders that people already have, especially with the amount of icon packs and hero packs we've had. That I think that's where I'm a little more. Like, it's good value. You know, you get an 87 rated card for 10k. I mean, you could have got it for much cheaper if you just put in, you know, the cheapest 84 rated that fits. You've got a good bit of fodder if you want to use them in an SPC. But yeah, it's all right.
I think the Rabiot would probably be what, Nate, maybe, especially with the chemistry links. If he was in as a radioactive promo player, what, like 80k or something? Maybe more, because Kessie's 50.
Yeah, I would imagine he'd be somewhere around there. I mean, Juve, like you said, Juve links. And I think another thing to maybe point out too is that it's only, what is it, like 5 or 6 games? It's not a lot of work in that regard either.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
I think it's like clearly designed from the games too, where it's like you have to play in, I think it's rivals or champs. Like it's not designed for bronze cards.
Yeah.
And I know he doesn't give the chemistry, but like Ruben Loftus-Cheek Thunderstruck was a free objective card, and I'd argue looks better. And definitely, like, if you've not used that Loftus-Cheek objective card, he's very, very good to use in game, and is getting upgrades. So yeah,
Yeah, I don't mind. I quite like this Evo, to be honest. I think the thing that I don't like is the card design is just awful. Like, it's possibly one of the ugliest card designs we've ever had.
You called Perisic a nuclear option before we went to the break, and I very much enjoyed that.
All I was going to say about this Evo is it is frustrating that you will lose this benefit chemistry-wise once you Evo the player again. It really restricts you to that it being that kind of top tier of player that is going to make it straight into your team.
It's not meant to be Evo'd again.
Well, you can, but yeah, it's not ideal because you lose out on the chemistry.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like, this is like the clearest ever one in my mind that's like, you are meant to use this on 80, call it like 82, 3, 4 rated cards to get them up to like 87, that you can use them now for a little while, which is why the requirements are so easy, because you're not Evoing them again.
It's like a promo objective player, but you pick them.
That's all that I'm saying.
Yeah.
I actually think the Sunday Evo is even more of an example of that for a whole host of reasons. Firstly, it's the second 88 rated Evo we can get. So we had the Marauder one that allowed you to take an 82 to an 88. And now we've got one that can take an 85 to an 88, albeit there's only kind of a few options that fit into the requirements. But the biggest thing with this Relentless meets Radioactive evolution that we got on Sunday is that it gives you a playstyle plus. We've only had 2 other Evos in the whole game that have given playstyle pluses, and one of those was at left back. So if you are going, I'm just going to take this left back because he plays for my favorite team and he's going to get every evolution. He started off bronze. He can't go into this evolution. And for however long we now have this limit of only 1 player style plus, because I think you can be allowed up to 3, but that's going to be part of the power curve that's kind of released as the game cycle goes on. You're not going to be able to Evo this card again because they've got a playstyle plus. So I would say both of these Evos are EA going, I know that you want to take these really bad teams and make them all really good, but we don't want you to. That's what this felt like to me this week. And I just think it's sad because I think it's a waste of a great opportunity.
I just sort of feel like we should be continually getting more Evos that seem well suited for taking bronze players. Like add a requirement. Like the Golden Glow Up was 64. Nobody cared. Give a silver one. Right? Call it a silver glow up, or like Golden Glow Up 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever. Like let's get more of these cards in there. I guess the concern would be that people are going to take these silver cards and not want to buy as many promo cards for their team, which means like less packs. Like I guess I can see the logic there and follow that level of concern. But the folks that are doing the bronze and the silver stuff, like either 1, charge coins for it, we'll still pay it. Or like 2, those probably aren't the folks that are buying packs anyway, but you're going to keep them engaged. So I just feel like it shouldn't be one or the other when it could easily be both.
Oh, preach. I would say the other thing with this Evo that I've seen a lot of people talk about is the restriction around the position. So it's a left back Evo, but they're not allowed to be centre back and they're not allowed to be CDM. Now, we had a right back Evo where it was like, you're not allowed to be
Who fits those requirements?
The centre-back one is Ălăbă, in my opinion. Ălăbă and Lucas Hernandez. They would both end up as high 80s pace. I think Ălăbă would be 89 pace with like good defensive physical, and obviously he's already got good passing and dribbling stats. And then Lucas Hernandez would be like a 86, 87 rated PSG French centre-back.
For 100K.
Yeah, so you start getting into that kind of realm of, I can understand why a plus 10 pace wing back evolution has been barred out from the centre back. The CDM one is just seemingly for 𝘭𝘵𝗫𝗀, and that one feels like punitive. I don't know why you would go, well, no, you're not allowed to have like a fast 𝘭𝘵𝗫𝗀 because what, they're going to do that in a promo coming up? Like, is that what it is? And again, it comes back to that communication thing of just tell us, just say, we're not going to allow centre backs or CDMs in this one because we're worried about X, Y, and Z. At least then there's a reasoning behind it. I before the game started and they told us about Evos, they said they're going to monitor it. It's going to change a lot throughout the year. And it started off with, we're going to give you big Evos and we're going to give you these small Evos for 64 rated players that you can make them really good. And then it changed to, it's going to be like +3s, 4s. We might give you the odd +6 here and there and nothing else. And it's like, well, where's the change? Like, can you like communicate and tell us why you're doing this? Because it doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, part of it might be that there are too many, like in their mind, as they look at squad construction, like maybe there are too many Evo players being used for like what their goals and KPIs are, right? Which might be different than what we want, but it still is like worth a monitoring and like a change.
Yeah, the point on KPIs or EA's objectives is something I want to come back to on this. But Nate, what are your thoughts on this, would you say?
Evos for me are something that I'm pretty casual in. I mean, I find the most enjoyment out of the ones of taking a really low rated player who's probably not going to get a special card during the year and evoing them up. I had a really fun time with Romain, as I call him, 𝘵𝗫𝗐𝗫, and his 85 rated Centurions card after I evoed him is fun to use, and he gets into my main team. So it's a couple of cards that I've had fun with, but it's not like I'm doing every single evo. I really enjoy that it's just there. Like, it does just create more opportunities to play the game in a different way and make your ultimate team your own. So I think the concept behind it is good. As always, we're gonna find the flaws in it and how to make it better. But I think overall, just the mode being there is a huge dub. So
yeah, I think we do often make perfect the enemy of the good in the ultimate team scene, and it is very good. Maybe it's just not quite how we'd like it. On that point about EA's objectives, their KPIs, I think they are often different to what our objectives are as committed players. We don't know because they haven't been particularly communicative after their initial pitch note, but they said they were going to do 2 a week. They've done 2 a week, perhaps more at times. And realistically, if they're just doing 2 a week, is one of those 2 going to be one which builds a player over a long time, considering I doubt those are the ones that have had most engagement because people want that instant gratification of being able to put that player into their team pretty quickly. I know a lot of us would like those, but I can imagine as far as their metrics are concerned, as far as their first cycle, when they maybe don't have the capacity to do these in bulk or don't have the opportunity to add sort of repeatable ones for bronze and silvers, that they are probably wary of doing those when the engagement may not have been there. If you look at the golden glow up ones, I think a lot of people actually didn't really do those. I know some people loved them and they did actually have great potential, but I just don't see them going down this route unless they give themselves more evolutions a week or have repeatable ones, I guess.
I think the point that you made was like really interesting regarding like timing of Evos and like perhaps the bronze rated ones not being particularly well engaged with. The golden glow up one is like one that I also didn't engage with. And like, I didn't even know what my team was going to look like at that point. So to me, it's like unsurprising. Mm-hmm. I would love to have that back because now I'm like, I have an idea of exactly what the like meta or what type of players work for me. And now I'm excited to like get that, going. I just think like offering it from the start one time and then being like, nope, doesn't work is crazy. Like, it's crazy. It's bad data. Your sample set's way too small. And so like, how are you getting good information by releasing something like that one time?
Yeah, there was that Centurions sharpshooter, which seemed reasonably popular actually, so I'm surprised they haven't done more like that. Anyway, it's a continued topic of conversation. We know they're going to change it over time, and I think they have probably heard everyone's calls, or the hardcore calls, I guess, if you can call it that, for these evolutions to be something that have a longer progression, although it is always going to be somewhat capped if they add playstyles to the evolutions by that limit of 10 playstyles they seem to have. But we'll see what happens. Send in your thoughts on evolutions all the usual ways, and we'll be back in just a second to talk about when you should buy and if you should be investing in Team of the Week players. Hello, welcome back after the break. Now, Nate, interesting phenomenon in Team of the Week, 'cause I just mentioned it. They're not in champs rewards, which obviously makes a big difference, but I think it's fair to say we've never seen Team of the Week players so consistently high as they have been more recently.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about the last week of Black Friday and all of the Thunderstruck content and all the SBCs that required those Team of the Weeks, and you had Team of the Weeks that hit, what was it, 50, like 53, 55K at their peak for just the bare minimum of any Team of the Week on the market. That was honestly mental. But yeah, I think what you alluded to there with the not being supplied every weekend with 3 informs being packed for anybody who get, what was it last year, rank 6 or rank 5 and above, you get the Team of the Week pack. That's just a lot less supply. Now, I know they've been releasing more Team of the Week upgrade packs, but none of them have been tradable as of yet. And I don't think informs would even sniff 10K again or minimum price unless they did something like that and made it a couple times repeatable. I think that the informs, as long as they keep requiring them at this rate, are going to continue to stay at least above discard like they normally aren't. So yeah, that was wild. Everybody during Black Friday was like, oh, 83s, and everybody thought fodder was going to go up, right? And it did a little bit, like on the higher tier because of the 𝘵𝘃𝗃, but it was really the informs this year that went crazy.
Yeah, and actually, quite a few people have been saying, oh, they're down to sort of 25K or so now. Should we be investing? Because actually, you know, they may go up to whatever it was, 40, 50K again. It is risky, isn't it, actually? Because if they do a tradable Team of the Week SBC, that would just flop their price massively. And they're not afraid to obviously have this untradable Team of the Week SBC. So you could see it happening. It does seem a little risky.
Yeah, I think it seems a little risky too. And even just from the standpoint of, if you think about last week when all the inform prices were going crazy and people were investing and making a lot of coins, you had that daily 83 times 10. And that was the big SBC that so many people were doing to try to pack, you know, the Thunderstruck icons and the promo cards and the best of that was re-released. And you don't have that demand this week. So I'm hesitant to invest in the informs. I mean, even the icon SBC that came out on Sunday has an 86 rated squad with an inform requirement, and informs went down after that, while 87s and above went up. So yeah, I think that the informs, I would keep an eye on it for sure because they're still in demand, but it would take a couple more SBCs that people would want to come back and do, you know, either every day or it's really hyped for the first one to make informs have another spike this week.
I could see them releasing like a max 86 inform pick, something like that. That is, you know, like, what is it right now? It's an 82 rated squad and an 83 rated squad. If they knock it down to just like 82 rated, like 182 rated squad or 183 rated squad for a max like 85 pick or something like that, like I could see even keeping it untradable still, that would have a pretty big swing. And that feels like within the realm of possibility in my mind.
Yeah. I would even argue that this Team of the Week pick that we have right now is not that difficult to do. I mean, you do have to turn in, the most annoying part is the 185 in the 83 rated squad and the 284s. That's the most annoying part. But like 82s and 83s and even 81s that you would fill out the rest of your squad with, they've given us so many objective packs with like the advent calendar and then all the gameplay ones. Like you can get those low rated fodder cards really easy. So
isn't that nice?
It is. I'm not complaining about packs through gameplay at all, or from doing a bronze player SBC every day.
I do like the fact that Team of the Weeks are expensive because it gives you like a little bit more of a rush when you pack them rather than just going, oh, there's a 10K discard. Like it's nice to go, that might be like 30K. So I don't overly mind it. It's a little frustrating that they're not in champs rewards as they're being made better, but like I do think it's a sacrifice I was willing to make. Everyone always bemoaned how bad Team of the Week was. So,
well, to be fair, I guess if they were in champs rewards, they wouldn't be so expensive, obviously. And actually, there aren't that many that are above fodder price still, right? I think in this Team of the Week there are, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5. I guess you've got Garnacho and Trent this week, which makes it a bit different. But yeah, it isn't really like the quality of the team of the week, even though it is improved, right? The players are better than they have been in the past, is really making them desirable from a gameplay perspective. Nate, in terms of other market questions that have been in my mind since you were last on, which is a while ago, what has been, as far as you're concerned, sort of week-to-week pattern of the market in terms of rise and falls? Because that's something that I've always found quite useful to know for buying either a promo player who's come out recently, or maybe another kind of meta gameplay player, expensive player that you might use, in game rather than as an investment.
Yeah, the trend, I think, for most of the entire year, the kind of for meta cards and teams is stuff usually drops during the weekend, especially now as they run lightning rounds. Like, I mean, it goes without saying, but like gold cards are headed to the bin if they weren't already. But a lot of times stuff has been kind of dropping Friday night late, and then usually during Saturday it drops off some more, and then Sunday night into Monday with like Champs Rewards coming out. Since Champs Rewards generate a lot of coins, usually that's when you see some stuff start to pick up. So Sundays have been relatively good days to buy even the cards that are just in packs for the new promo. I mean, even looking at some of the radioactive cards that have gone up a considerable amount, like Araujo was 475, now he's 520. Some cards like that, Zaha's up a little bit, Zinchenko from this last Sunday night into the early Monday morning that we're talking right now. So that for the new promo cards, and then also just other cards in general, seems to be kind of the general trend. It differs a little week to week, but then usually from Monday on, you'll see your cards just either stay about the same price or maybe rise up a little bit depending on what kind of card it is. And then once we hit to Friday again, you got new promo cards and all the new content, and it usually just ends up making cards go down, which is kind of weird to think about because that's also when Weekend League is going on and there's probably the most gameplay demand, but there's also a lot of other movement happening. So yeah, that's kind of been the trend.
Yeah, that is useful to know. I always think, you'll save yourself a good few coins on players if you keep an eye on that, I think. Right. The other thing that we've had from a sort of menu perspective, I guess, is a new grind for those doing upgrades and things. Josh, looks pretty decent.
Yeah, it's and it is a proper grind. It's not kind of Black Friday where you there was just everywhere to put everything, and you were getting 𝘰𝑵𝑃 pluses left, right, and center. But with this one, it's more of like a bronze pack into your bronze upgrades and silver upgrades into your gold upgrades. But the best thing is, because we have these boosted bronze upgrades, is that bronze prices and silver prices to an extent have come down for League SBC cards. And so if you're doing the minor league SBC or even the major league SBC, the cards are quite cheap, especially for the minor league at the moment. So you can either just straight up buy the league SBCs if you want to get the packs, major and minor. You'll probably lose less coins doing the minor league SBC, might even make coins. The major one, you'll lose kind of 3 to 4K per run was where I got it to after selling everything. Obviously, you can make that up with a big tradable pool, but you don't want to take your chances on that. So if you've got a lot of coins, you can get quite a lot of packs for not very much right now. But if you wanted to try and like make coins or kind of have this consistent grind, I think bronze pack method, so just spam open bronze packs. I kind of store everything into my club initially and just deal with dupes as and when they come. And then putting off-league bronzes into the silver upgrade, get those untradeable silvers, and then take the off-league silvers and put them into the silver upgrade to get the golds. And then you'll have a bunch of League SBC cards in your club. You can choose to sell the Major League SBC cards if you want and just kind of take your coins back there. You can get some French League bronzes that are worth 2, 3, 4K. Same with some Eredivisie bronzes as well. Or you can put them into both of the League SBCs and start getting your packs back through there. And I just think it's quite a fun grind. It's not the best grind we've ever had, and it's definitely like a little bit more time consuming than other things we've had. There's a lot going on in gameplay, so if you don't have a lot of time, this definitely isn't the best use of your time. But if you're somebody who's careful with your coins and likes to spam open bronze packs and have a stocked club, it's pretty decent right now.
Yeah, I've been failing miserably on menu grinding. I actually missed the first 2 days of the advent calendar packs. So
I do just want to say, I think obviously I'll talk about Evos, and I do like Evos. I really like they've added it into the game. It's the first year. It will be improved upon and done over time. So as much as there's a negative sentiment around it now, from me especially, I'm grateful that it's there. I will say objectives this year have been fantastic. And what they've done the last 2 weeks of having a daily play objective where you play every day and then that will give you like a bigger reward in the kind of daily play thing for the week. I think it's brilliant. And I really hope it's just a consistent thing now that like rewarding you for just playing doesn't have to be anything massive. But as we've been talking about, there's like 81 double packs that just give you like an 82 and an 83. Enough of those then allow you to go and do a Team of the Week upgrade. You can go and do an SBC, and then there's every chance you get something decent out of those 81 doubles or 82 doubles. I think that they've done a very, very good job of like stacking out objectives and making sure there's always kind of something to do, even if it's only for 2 or 3 games every single day.
Yeah, it's been really good. I think one of the big improvements over the last 2 years has been in those things, those gameplay objectives, minimum rating packs and things like that. My only frustration about that is, and we talked about this before, is just Rivals getting behind again in terms of the quality of reward that you can get there compared to what you can get throughout the rest of the game. Everything else gets better and better, but Rivals are just the same. And now they're renewing Champs rewards a bit here and there. It's even more behind. And that is a shame, I think, because it makes the mode a bit of a joke. But yeah.
I mean, I guess they've said it, they've like been explicit that they think Rivals is their like quote unquote competitive game mode. I would let someone talk me into the idea that like if this game mode is really just focused on like hardcore competitors, like the packs maybe can be an afterthought. I'm not saying necessarily I agree with that, but I'm saying
I don't know though, because they said they were improving the rewards, didn't they? And then they haven't really been improved much. So
yeah, I guess that's true.
I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain about sandbaggers because I am a self-confessed sandbagger. But the quality of teams in Division 8 is absolutely insane. I mean, you should see some of the teams that you come up against. If you start a new account and you just do that run through to Div 8, you'll get there and go, what is happening? Like, and even as you go up to 7 and 6, it is wild. And you come up against some players. I got absolutely ran through this week in Division 6 by a guy with like a full icon, a meta icon team. I was like, there's no way this guy doesn't go like 16, 18, 20 wins and is in Div 6. So if you are struggling in Rivals, like everybody is relegating seemingly at the moment.
Well, yeah, and the short seasons, as I said, is not going to help. And then also, I mean, once people feel like that about the mode, that, like you did in that game, they then don't commit to it. So I don't know, it's a weird thing, Rivals. Anyway, for now, we can say goodbye to Nate, the FUT Accountant. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you very much, Ben, as always. I appreciate it. It was fun chatting all things Evo content, market, and everything very radioactive and toxic.
Yeah, you can find some toxic content, well, at the moment, over on Nate's YouTube channel if people want up-to-date market analysis of what's going on right now. And we can say our goodbyes to Josh and Japes, who'll be joining us on the Support the Gameplay episode. Thank you very much, Josh, as per usual.
Yes, thank you very much. Like, I'm quite enjoying content at the moment, even if like I just wish Evos were a little bit better. But content as a whole I think it's in a good spot. I think it's been a very good year for it. So
yeah, definitely. No, I'd agree with that. And Japes as well, thank you very much for coming on.
Cheers. Enjoyed it. A lot of I guess there's like lots of things to discuss in the content world. It's been like really, really kind of an insane amount to keep up with at times, but have very much enjoyed it.
Well, there we go. Thank you very much to all you listeners out there listening in. A reminder, you can catch the podcast on all the podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. And if you're catching this pod on YouTube, then leave a like, drop a comment. It definitely helps us out. And if you'd like more, then just search Support FUT Weekly. A huge thank you to those supporters out there keeping this podcast going, including those icon patrons: Dave B, Hugh J, Darren W, Alistair M, Dom P, Rob P, Jeff B, Damon H, Tom B, Adam G, Neil P, Alex M, Jake S, Dan W, Roger D, Lee A, Andrew C, Nishant, Waterman, Dylan H, Adam R, Rob L, Brendan W, Michael K, David G, Jimmy K, Michael B, Aditya S, and Joshua K. Plus a special thanks to Luke M, Dave B, Hugh J, Tom M, Darren W, and Pato Foot for advice and production assistance. Before I leave you, just one more thing to add, though. FIFA's a bit like life, really. It has its many ups and its many downs. If you're having a few more downs than ups in real life in these more difficult times, then please don't feel that you're alone or need to struggle on without taking action. If you go to thecalmzone.net, there's loads of resources, advice, support, or even just a friendly chat for anyone who needs it. If it sounds like it could help you, then head over to thecalmzone.net. And for now, have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next podcast.